The beautiful thing, the stars outside the window, looked cold and endless. Alex stood alone on the deck of the alien ship, staring at the strange walls around him. The ship was alive. At least, that's what it felt like. Blue lights moved slowly along the walls, forming shapes that he could not understand. They looked like symbols, or maybe just patterns. But when he touched them, the wall felt warm, as if it was breathing. Alex was not supposed to be here. He was just a pilot, not a scientist, not an explorer. But when his small shuttle crashed into this massive alien vessel, and the doors opened for him, he stepped inside. Curiosity was stronger than fear. The air inside was strange but breathable. It smelled faintly like rain and metal. He walked down a narrow corridor, his boots echoing on the smooth floor. There was no sound except his own breathing. And then a voice spoke. "Why have you come here, human?" Alex froze. The voice was soft, almost like a whisper, but it came from everywhere. He turned around, but there was no one there. I don't know," he said carefully. "I was curious. I wanted to see what's inside." The blue lights on the walls began to glow brighter. The symbols moved faster, dancing like water. The voice spoke again, sounding closer this time. "Curiosity is dangerous here. You should leave." Alex smiled a little, trying to sound brave. "You're the most beautiful thing in this galaxy," he said. He didn't know why he said it. Maybe because the ship, with all its strange lights and quiet power, really did look beautiful. Or maybe because he felt like someone or something was watching him. But the moment he said those words, everything changed. The soft blue lights suddenly turned red. The door behind him slammed shut with a loud, heavy sound. He spun around and ran to the door, but it was sealed tight. He pounded on it with both fists. "Hey, open up!" "I didn't mean..." Alarms blared, loud and sharp, echoing through the corridor. The red lights flashed, and the walls began to shift. Panels slid open and closed like jaws snapping shut. "You should not have said that," the voice said. "Now." It was colder, harsher. Alex backed away from the door, looking around wildly. What's happening?" he asked. No answer came. The floor beneath his feet vibrated. The walls on either side of the corridor seemed to move closer, like the ship was trying to swallow him. He stumbled forward, deeper into the ship. The way back was gone. He reached another door, this one already open. Inside was a wide room with a high ceiling. Strange machines hummed in the corners, and the walls here were covered in even more of those glowing symbols. But now they were red, angry, pulsing like a heartbeat. Alex walked slowly into the room. The door slammed shut behind him again. He spun around, but there was no handle, no way out. The voice spoke again, softer this time. "You woke me up." "Why? I don't know," Alex said. "I didn't mean to wake you. He swallowed hard. "I just wanted to see you." The lights above him flickered, and the floor began to rise in the center of the room. A small platform emerged, and on it was a strange object, a clear crystal, floating in the air, spinning slowly. Inside the crystal, he thought he saw a shape, like a face, but it vanished when he blinked. "You don't understand," the voice said. "I have been sleeping for a long time. You should have let me sleep." Alex took a step closer to the crystal, unable to stop himself. It was beautiful, glowing with soft white light, almost warm. But something about it felt wrong. The walls around him began to close in again, and the red lights turned darker, almost black. The air grew heavy, and his breath came faster. He reached out and touched the crystal. It was cold. "I don't understand," he said. "Who are you? What are you?" The face inside the crystal appeared again, this time clearly. It was not human, but it was not completely alien either. It had eyes like stars and a mouth that didn't move but still spoke. "I am the ship," it said, "and you are my prisoner now." Alex stumbled back, his hand still cold from touching the crystal. "This is a mistake," he said. "Let me go. I didn't mean any harm." The voice laughed, soft, but it echoed through the room like thunder. "No one ever means harm," it said. "And yet, here you are." The floor beneath him began to split open, and red light poured out from the cracks. Alex looked down and saw shapes moving in the light, shadows of things he couldn't name. He backed away until his back hit the wall. His heart pounded in his chest. He whispered to himself, What are you?" But the ship didn't answer this time. Only the sound of the crystal spinning and the red light growing brighter and brighter filled the room, and then everything went quiet. Asterisk, the first clue the room was silent now. The red light faded to a deep blue, like the calm before a storm. Alex stood frozen, his back against the wall, staring at the spinning crystal. For a long moment, nothing happened. No sound. No movement. Only his own heavy breathing filled the space dot then. Without warning, the floor beneath him began to shift again. But this time, it didn't open. Instead, the wall started to move. Panels slid away, revealing long corridors stretching out from the room, all lined with glowing lines of light. The voice spoke, but now it was distant, almost faint. "Walk. You must find the way. If you stop, you die." Alex swallowed. "What way?" he shouted. But the voice did not answer. He looked at the corridors, 3 of them, branching out. Like a fork. Each one glowed faintly, but the light was different. One was blue, one was green, and one was red. He didn't know which to choose. He stepped toward the blue one, but the ship growled, the sound low and deep. It felt like a warning dot, so he turned toward the green one. No sound, no growl, only silence. "Fine," he muttered, more to himself. Then to the ship. "I'll play your game." He walked into the green corridor. The walls were covered in strange shapes, more symbols, but now they seemed to move like they were alive. When he passed them, they whispered. The whispers were in no language he knew, but somehow he thought he could almost understand. Floor beneath him grew warmer with each step. The air became heavier, and it smelled faintly sweet, almost like flowers. But something about the sweetness felt wrong, too thick, like it was hiding something rotten dot. Then he heard a sound ahead, a faint, soft crying. He stopped. The crying continued, quiet, weak, but human. "Hello?" He called. No answer. But the crying grew louder dot. He started walking faster, his boots hitting the floor hard now. The corridor narrowed as he went, the walls closing in, until finally he reached another door. This one was cracked open, just enough to let a thin grain light spill through. He pushed it open slowly. Inside was a small circular chamber, darker than the last. At the center of the room was a glowing hologram, a woman sitting on her knees, covering her face with her hands. She was crying, but she didn't look fully real. Her body flickered, parts of her face and hands glitching like broken glass. Alex stepped closer. "Hey, are you real? Are you okay?" The woman slowly lowered her hands. Her face was pale, her eyes empty. Her voice cracked like static when she spoke. "Don't trust her." Then she vanished. The hologram shattered into shards of green light that floated into the air and dissolved. Alex stood there, stunned. The air in the room turned cold. He rubbed his arms, suddenly aware of how alone he was. Then the walls of the chamber began to pulse, faint at first, then faster and faster. Symbols lit up all around him, spinning and swirling like angry eyes. The ship spoke again, louder. "Now, You are not supposed to see that. You are not supposed to hear her. Alex backed toward the door. I didn't mean. The door slammed shut behind him before he could finish. The walls started to move, forming new paths. The room stretched and twisted, as if the ship was reshaping itself just to confuse him. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through his head. He dropped to his knees, clutching his skull. Images flashed in his mind. Strange places, alien skies, stars burning and falling, cities in ruin. And then, a face. The same face he'd seen in the crystal earlier. Eyes like stars, mouth like a wound that could speak. You woke me, the voice said inside his mind. You are mine now. He gasped and fell forward onto the floor. The pain stopped just as quickly as it began. When he looked up, he was no longer in the small chamber. He was in a vast hall, much larger than anything he'd seen so far. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. Giant pillars stretched up like bones, and between them floated more crystals, each glowing faintly. Alex rose slowly to his feet. He noticed now that the crystals were not just glowing, they were humming. And inside each one, he could see something trapped. He walked to the nearest crystal. Inside was a man, human, floating as if asleep, his eyes closed. His face was pale, and strange black veins ran across his skin. Alex stepped back, horrified. Then he noticed the next crystal. Another human, then another. Dozens of them. All trapped. The whispers returned, louder now, filling the hall. They all seemed to say the same thing. Don't trust her. Don't trust her? Alex turned in a circle, searching for the source. Who is she? He shouted. What do you want from me? The walls around the hall began to ripple like water, and a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was the same face again, but now attached to a body. Tall, graceful, inhuman, but almost beautiful. She smiled at him, but her smile was cold. You already know, she said softly. You called me beautiful. Now you will see what beauty really means. Alex stepped back. What are you? He asked, his voice shaking. She tilted her head. I am the ship. I am the jailer. I am the prisoner. And you are the next. She raised her hand, and the crystals around them began to crack. Thin black mist leaked out of each one, curling through the air like smoke. The mist reached for him, wrapping around his legs, pulling him down. Alex struggled, trying to break free, but the mist was cold and heavy like chains. The woman stepped closer, her eyes glowing brighter. You woke me, she whispered. Now, you take their place. Alex's vision blurred as the black mist climbed higher, wrapping around his chest. He felt his body growing cold, his heart slowing. The last thing he heard before the darkness swallowed him was the faint whisper of all the voices, trapped in the crystals. Don't trust her. And then everything went black. Asterisk, the secret chamber darkness. It felt endless. Alex floated in the Alex. Black, unable to move or breathe. Yet somehow, he was still alive. The cold mist wrapped around him tighter and tighter, like ice-cold chains. But in the distance, a faint light appeared. A small white glow. At first, it was no bigger than a star. But as he watched, it grew larger, closer, brighter, until it filled his vision completely. And then, he was no longer in the darkness. Alex fell hard onto a smooth floor. He gasped and coughed, his chest burning as if he hadn't breathed in hours. He opened his eyes and sat up, looking around. He was in another room, this one different from all the others. It was huge, but not empty. The floor was black glass, and above him floated thousands of small lights, like stars, but alive, moving slowly in patterns. The walls shimmered like water. and in the center of the room stood a massive transparent. The pod glowed faintly with white and blue light. Inside it was her. Alex froze. The same figure he'd seen before. The woman with eyes like stars was inside the pod, her eyes closed, her hands resting against the glass. But now, she didn't look threatening. She looked asleep, peaceful, vulnerable. Alex slowly stood up. His legs felt heavy, but he forced himself forward, step by step. As he got closer, he saw strange symbols etched into the glass of the pod, like chains of light wrapped around it. And carved into the floor around the pod were even more symbols. Glowing faintly, he reached out and placed his hand on the glass. It was cold, but not as cold as the mist had been. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her eyes opened. Alex jumped back, his heart pounding. Her eyes glowed softly, but they didn't look angry now. They looked sad. The voice he heard this time wasn't the same as before. It wasn't loud or harsh. It was soft, almost like a whisper inside his mind. You shouldn't be here. Alex swallowed hard. I didn't mean to wake you. I didn't even know you were here. The woman's lips didn't move, but he heard her clearly. I have been here for so long, waiting, sleeping, because I have to. Alex stepped closer again. What are you? He asked. Why are you trapped here? For a long moment, she didn't answer. Her eyes just stared into his. Then the voice came again. I am the one who built this ship. I am its heart, its mind, its prisoner. Alex frowned. You built it? Why would you build something to trap yourself? Because I have to. Because if I wake, everything burns. Her voice cracked at the last word, and for a second, Alex thought he saw tears in her eyes. But before he could speak, the walls of the room began to shimmer again. The black glass floor rippled like water. The air grew heavy, thick with power. And then the harsh, cold voice of the ship returned, loud, sharp, angry. You have seen too much. You must leave, or you must stay here forever. The woman inside. The pod closed her eyes and spoke again, more urgently now. Listen to me, human. The ship is alive because of me. It keeps me here because it must. But now that you're here, it sees you as a threat. Alex shook his head. I don't understand. What does it want from me? Her eyes opened. Again, it wants you gone, she said simply. Or it wants you to replace me. At those words, Alex froze. Replace you? He repeated. You mean, it wants to trap me in here instead of you? Her expression didn't change, but her silence said enough. Alex stepped back, shaking his head. No, I can't do that. But the ship's voice cut through the air like a blade. You woke her. Now take her place. Or you both will die. The walls closed in slightly, and the black mist began seeping up from the floor again. The air was thick and cold, burning his lungs as he breathed. The woman looked at him, her eyes brighter now, like they held a whole galaxy inside them. You have a choice, human. Set me free, or take my place. If you set me free, many will die, but you will live. If you take my place, I will stop this ship, and you will never see the stars again. Alex backed away, his mind racing. Why are these the only choices? He demanded. Why can't you just destroy the ship and leave? Her lips curved into a sad smile. Because I am the ship. For the first time, Alex truly understood. She wasn't just a prisoner. She was the ship. Her mind, her power, her body, all of it. And the ship's walls, its traps, its voice, all of it was her, and also not her. Some part of her wanted to stay asleep. Some part of her wanted to wake and burn everything. And now, because of him, she couldn't stay asleep anymore. The mist rose higher, wrapping around his legs again. The floor cracked beneath him, revealing a faint light below. Like an open grave glowing in the dark, the woman pressed her hand against the glass of the pod. The symbols around it began to flicker. Choose quickly, human. The ship will not wait much longer. Alex's breath came fast and shallow. His eyes darted between her face and the swirling black mist climbing toward his chest. He thought of the others he had seen trapped in the crystals. The hollow faces. The whispers. He thought of her. The sad eyes, the faint smile. And he thought of himself, alone, far from home, just one fragile human in the middle of something far bigger than he could understand. The ship's voice roared, one last time, shaking the whole chamber. Choose, now. Alex closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and made his choice. He reached out his hand, and the world around him exploded in light. Asterisk escape attempt. When the light exploded, it was blinding. Alex felt himself falling again, not through space this time, but through memories that weren't his. He saw flashes, stars being born, planets burning, cities drowning in black fire. He saw her, the woman from the pod, walking across the surface of strange worlds, her eyes glowing like suns, her hands leaving trails of destruction behind her. He heard voices screaming, begging, crying, then falling silent. And then everything went black. When he opened his eyes again, he was still standing in the chamber. But something had changed. The pod in the center was cracked. The glowing symbols around it were shattered. And the woman was awake. She stood outside the pod now, her feet hovering just above the floor. Her long hair floated around her like smoke, and her eyes burned with that same strange galaxy light. The mist was gone, and the ship was silent. For the first time since he stepped on board, Alex felt weightless. Not just his body, but his mind too, as though she was inside his thoughts now. Her voice came, soft but sharper than ever. You chose to set me free. Brave, foolish. Alex's hands trembled. He backed away from her. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't. He stopped. Because behind her, the walls of the ship began to crumble. The black glass floor cracked, and blue light poured through. The crystals that held the others, the trapped humans, started to shatter one by one. Voices echoed from them, whispering thanks and curses. The ship roared, louder than anything before. But now it wasn't just a voice. It was a scream. The woman didn't flinch. She raised her hand, and the walls obeyed, tearing themselves apart to make a path forward. She turned her eyes back to Alex. Run, if you can. Alex blinked. What? You said, I said I would save you. Not that I would carry you. Go. She waved her hand, and the mist returned, but this time it stayed away from him, forming a wall that kept the ship itself at bay. Alex hesitated only a second longer before he turned and ran. The path she had created was strange, sharp. Glass bridges, corridors with no walls, open voids filled with stars he didn't recognize. Every step he took, the ship seemed to fight back. Walls collapsing behind him, floors vanishing under his feet, winds strong enough to lift him off the ground. But she was still there, always just behind him, her presence holding the chaos away from him. The whispers grew louder as he ran. Now they didn't just say don't trust her. They began to say other things. Faster. She can't hold it forever. The stars are dying. Alex finally reached what looked like another door, bigger than the others. It glowed, bright white, almost blinding. But as he reached for it, the ship roared again, and a huge black wall rose up to block the door. The woman appeared at his side in an instant, her face calm, but her eyes burning hotter now. You have to break it. Alex shook his head. How? I don't have. She placed her hand over his chest. And suddenly, he felt something inside him. A heat that wasn't his. Her power. Use it? You wanted to see what I really am. Now you'll know. Alex stepped forward, raised his hands, and the heat inside him surged outward. A beam of blue light shot from his palms, striking the black wall. It cracked, then shattered, falling away into the void. The white door swung open, but before he could run through, he looked back at her. She hovered there, her hair a storm of black and silver light, her body glowing faintly now, weaker than before. Go, she said. Alex swallowed. What about you? She didn't answer, but her faint smile told him enough. She was staying behind. Alex nodded once, turned, and ran through the door. He stumbled forward, falling onto another smooth floor. But this time it was different. This was his own shuttle. The alien ship was gone. The door to space was open behind him, and through it he saw the alien vessel crumbling in the distance, its lights going out, its shape collapsing into itself. And then silence. Nothing left but the stars. Alex sank to the floor, breathing hard, his body still hot from the strange power she had given him. His hands still glowed faintly, and in his mind he still heard her whisper, "You're the most beautiful thing in this galaxy." But it wasn't over. The shuttle's controls lit up suddenly. All by themselves, they began typing words on the screen in front of him. You freed her. You doomed them all. Alex stared at the screen, his breath catching in his throat. What do you mean? He asked, though no one was there to hear him. Another line appeared. She is awake now. Nothing can stop her. Alex's stomach turned cold. He looked back out the window. In the distance, far, far away, he saw something moving among the stars. A faint glow, growing brighter. It was her. Her silhouette now stretched across the stars, her eyes burning even from here, her hands reaching outward as if she was holding whole worlds in her palms. She wasn't trapped anymore, and she was smiling. Alex pressed his hand to the glass of the window. His own reflection stared back at him, pale, tired, but still alive. And now, something inside his eyes glowed faintly too, the same galaxy light that had been in hers. He whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The shuttle's engines roared to life on their own, pulling him away from the wreckage of the alien ship, away from her. But even as the stars streaked past him, he knew he wasn't truly escaping, because she was awake now. And she remembered him, and in the quiet of the shuttle, he heard her voice one last time, soft, almost kind. "Run if you want, but you are mine now." The stars outside flickered. One by one, they started to go out. Darkness crept closer, and Alex knew this was just the beginning. The revelation, the stars outside his shuttle were fading. One by one, their light winked out, as if someone was plucking them from the sky. Alex sat at the window, his hand pressed against the cold glass, his breath fogging it. His heart beat faster with each star that vanished, and then her voice came again. "Don't look away, Alex. This is what beauty truly is." Her whisper was everywhere, in the walls of the shuttle, in the stars, even inside his mind. He closed his eyes, but he could still see her face, glowing with that strange galaxy light. Her hands stretched across the sky, pulling it apart like paper. Her smile, soft but merciless. Alex opened his eyes and looked at his reflection in the glass. There it was again, faint but clear, the same light glowing inside his own eyes. Now, her mark on him, her power. He stood up and stumbled toward the shuttle's controls. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't even know if there was anywhere left to go. But he had to try. His fingers shook as he typed into the console. Search, nearest human outpost. The screen blinked for a few seconds, then displayed. No signal detected. All channels silent. Alex stared at the words, his throat dry. All silent? He whispered. No, that's not possible. The lights inside the shuttle flickered. The engines groaned. And her voice returned, louder this time, but still calm. You freed me. You chose me. Now you watch with me. Alex slammed his fist into the console. Stop it, he shouted. This isn't what I wanted. But it is what you said. You called me beautiful. You wanted to see me awake. And now you see. The glass window in front of him cracked slightly. Her face appeared faintly in the stars outside, enormous, filling the sky. She was no longer shaped like a woman. Her body stretched across whole star systems. Her arms curled around planets. Her hair a river of dark matter. Alex fell back into the pilot's chair, his chest tight. His mind screamed at him to stop looking, but he couldn't. She was terrifying, but also impossible to turn away from. He whispered to himself, "What are you?" For the first time, she answered fully. "I am the first. I am the last. I am the seed that bloomed and the fire that burns it all. They built this ship to hold me because they feared me. They called me a god. They called me a curse. They built a prison and begged me to sleep. And I agreed for a while." Her voice softened, almost tender. "But then you came, and you called me beautiful. No one has ever said that before." Alex covered his face with his hands, shaking his head. "I didn't know what you were," he said. "I thought you were lonely. Like me." She laughed. Low and quiet, but it rattled the entire shuttle. "I was lonely, but now I'm awake, and I'm not lonely anymore." The shuttle's lights all turned red. The engines stopped. Through the window, the stars continued to vanish one by one. And then, suddenly, silence. The shuttle stopped moving. The stars were gone. Everything was blacked out. Alex stood up slowly, looking around. His breath echoed in the stillness. And then, in front of him, a door appeared on the shuttle wall. It hadn't been there before. It glowed faintly, like the pod she had been trapped in. "Come," she whispered. "You deserve to see it." Alex's hands shook as he reached for the door. It opened by itself. He stepped through and found himself standing on nothing. He was outside now, but not in space. This place was beyond space. Blackness stretched forever, but it was full of moving shapes. Giant lights swirling like galaxies. Rivers of color flowing in every direction. And there she was, her true form. She towered above him, her body made of stars and shadows, her hands cupping whole worlds, her hair stretching into infinity. But her face was still the same, faintly human, faintly sad, faintly sighing. She leaned closer. Her voice was soft but heavy, like thunder wrapped in silk. "This is who I am. This is what they feared." Alex stared at her, his mouth dry. "Why did you show me this?" Her smile widened just a little. "Because now you understand. They trapped me here because I would not kneel to them. They called themselves gods, but they were only builders. They feared what they could not control." Alex clenched his fists. "And now you'll destroy them all?" Her eyes glowed brighter. "They are already gone. They locked me away and fled into the dark, hoping I would sleep forever. But now I will find them. And when I do, they will remember what they feared." Alex took a step back, his chest heavy. "And what about humans? What about my people?" Her gaze fell on him, sharp but curious. "You are different. You woke me not to use me, but to see me. No one has ever done that before. So I will give you a choice, Alex." Her hand lowered toward him, vast as a continent, glowing with light and darkness. "You can come with me, see everything, become more than human, or you can try to stop me. Alex stared at her hand. It hovered just above him, waiting. The glow from it made his skin burn faintly, but not painfully. If you come with me, she continued, you will never see your world again. But you will see all worlds. You will walk beside me when the stars burn out. You will never be alone again. Alex swallowed hard. And if I say no? Her eyes narrowed, but not in anger. Then you will try to stop me, and you will fail. But at least you will have tried. The moving shapes in the blackness around them grew louder now, like whispers in a hurricane. They all seemed to chant the same thing. Choose, choose, choose. Alex looked at her face again. She still looked beautiful. But now he knew what that beauty really was, the kind that could burn entire galaxies to ash. And yet, part of him still wanted to take her hand. Not his heart pounded as he whispered to himself, "What am I supposed to do?" Her voice came. One last time, quiet but heavy with meaning. Be what humans always are, surprising. Alex closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he made his choice and reached out his hand. The final choice. Alex's fingers hovered in the air. He could feel the heat from her giant glowing hand, her power humming all around him like a living storm. It would take nothing, just a single step, a single breath, a single decision to end everything he'd known. He looked into her vast eyes, galaxies swirling inside them, and saw no hate there. No love either. Only expectation. Be what humans always are, she had said. Surprising. Alex closed his eyes, took a long breath, and then he moved, but not toward her hand. Instead, he turned and ran, straight into the blackness. The ground, if it could even be called that, cracked under his feet as he ran. It felt like running on shattered glass. Behind him, her voice boomed, no longer soft, no longer calm. Alex. He didn't stop. He didn't even look back. You cannot run from me. The space around him twisted violently. Shapes of light and shadow crashed down like falling stars. Paths opened and closed like jaws snapping shut. But still, he kept moving. His breath came in short gasps, but the fire she'd left in his chest, her mark, flared brighter with each step. It was burning him alive now, but also keeping him alive. Behind him, she grew louder, her voice shaking the very fabric of the void. You think you can stop me? You are nothing. A fragile spark in the dark. The whispers that had always been, bare, faint, and quiet, now screamed in his ears. Run, run, run. He didn't know where he was going, but then, far ahead, he saw it. A faint point of light, not her light, not the burning, devouring kind. This was something else, soft, steady, human. He pushed harder, even as the ground broke apart. Beneath him, her enormous form rose up behind him now, her face no longer sad but furious, her hair whipping around her like a storm of knives. Alex, she roared, you cannot leave me. You freed me. You belong to me. The light ahead of him grew brighter as he neared it. And then he understood that it wasn't just light. It was the core, the heart of the prison she had built herself into. He stumbled to a stop before it, a small crystal sphere, glowing faintly in the darkness. It looked fragile, almost ordinary, but inside it he saw her true self, a smaller figure, curled up and asleep inside the crystal, a part of her that still wanted to rest. Alex fell to his knees, gasping. He looked back, and she was almost on him now. Her giant hands reached out, her voice shaking everything around him. You don't understand. I will save you. I will save everything. But Alex understood now. He reached out to the crystal. It felt cold, but alive. The light inside it pulsed softly. He could feel her pain in it, her loneliness, her hunger. She had been split between two selves for so long, the part that wanted to sleep and the part that wanted to burn, and she couldn't destroy herself. But he could. Her giant form froze behind him, as if she realized what he was about to do. Her voice softened, desperate now. You don't have to. Stay with me, please." Alex stared into the crystal, feeling her eyes watching him from behind, her voice inside his mind, her presence filling his soul. "You're beautiful," he said quietly, almost a whisper. "But beauty isn't enough. Not anymore." He took a deep breath, and then he crushed the crystal in his hands. The moment it shattered, everything changed. The blackness around him exploded into white light. The ground vanished, the air burned, and her scream tore through the void, not of anger now, but of sorrow. Her giant form cracked like glass, splitting into 1,000 pieces of starlight. Her voice faded, whispering his name one last time. "Alex." And then there was silence. Alex opened his eyes. He was lying on a cold metal floor. It was quiet. Above him, stars shone again, not fading now, but steady and clear. He sat up slowly, his body weak, his hands still warm from the crystal's glow. He was back on his shuttle, alone. He stumbled to his feet and looked out the window. The alien ship, her prison, was gone. Only dust and faint trails of light remained. Where it had been, the stars seemed brighter now. Alex sank into the pilot's chair, his chest heavy. The console in front of him flickered and then lit up. Words appeared slowly on the screen. "You chose humanity." Alex nodded weakly. "Yes," he whispered, "I chose." More words appeared. "She is gone, but not completely. She left something. In you." He stared at the screen, his hands trembling. "What does that mean?" he asked aloud. No answer came, but when he looked at his reflection in the glass, he saw it. That faint glow still inside his eyes. Her mark. He stayed in the silence for what felt like hours. Then a faint sound broke through the quiet, a soft hum, like a heartbeat. It came from deep inside the shuttle. Alex stood and followed the sound. At the back of the shuttle, a panel on the wall glowed faintly. He touched it, and it slid open. Inside was a small crystal shard, the last piece of her core, still glowing faintly. Her voice, soft and fragile now, whispered in his mind, "I'm still here." Alex, sleeping, waiting, watching, his throat tightened. He picked up the shard and held it in his palm. It was warm. It felt alive. He sat back down in his chair, the shard resting in his lap. Then, "I'll keep you here," he said quietly. "Not because I belong to you, but because you belong to me now." For the first time in what felt like forever, Alex smiled. But as the shuttle floated through space, unnoticed in the vast darkness, the stars outside flickered faintly, just for a second, and far away, so far it was almost invisible, a faint shadow moved among the stars, slow, patient, watching, because even broken, even sleeping, she was still the most beautiful and the most dangerous thing in the galaxy, and she was waiting. The ending. For weeks, Alex drifted alone through the quiet of space. The stars above him no longer winked out. The darkness no longer swallowed light. It was as though the galaxy was breathing again. But Alex knew it wasn't over. Every night, if nights even existed out here, he would sit by the little shard of crystal in his hand. It glowed faintly, warm, alive, and her voice was still there. Soft now, almost kind. Not the voice of a goddess or a destroyer. Just a whisper in the back of his mind. "I'm still here, Alex." Watching, dreaming, waiting. He would whisper back, "I know." And sometimes, just sometimes, he thought he heard her laugh, low and sad. One morning, he woke to alarms. The shuttle's console was flashing red. A signal, faint but steady, appeared on the screen. Human outpost detected. 72,000 kilometers ahead. Alex sat up straight. His chest tightened. Humans. He hadn't seen another living soul in what felt like forever. He reached for the controls, but stopped. His reflection in the glass caught his eye. His eyes still glowed faintly, her mark. And in the back of his mind, her whisper came again. Are you going back to them? After all this? He stared at the blinking light on the console. Yes, he whispered. They deserve to know. What happened? They deserve to know you, what you are. Her voice was quiet now. You think they'll listen? You think they won't try to lock me away again? Lock you away? Alex didn't answer. He just set the course toward the outpost. The engines groaned to life. As the shuttle approached the outpost, a giant metal station spinning above a pale blue planet. Alex could see lights in its windows, faint shapes moving inside. Humans. A message crackled over the radio. Unidentified. Vessel, this is Outpost Argo. Please identify yourself. Alex leaned forward. This is Pilot Alex Ward, former Survey Mission 4C. I need to speak with your command. There was silence on the other end. Then, Survey 4C? That mission was lost years ago. Alex's grip tightened on the controls. I'm alive, he said simply. And I have something to tell you. They brought him aboard under heavy guard. 6 soldiers waited as his shuttle docked, their rifles pointed at him. Alex stepped out slowly, holding the shard of crystal in his hand. It glowed faintly, like a tiny star. The soldiers froze when they saw it. One of them lowered his weapon. What is that? Alex's eyes met his. This is everything you were afraid of. He let them lead him through metal corridors to a room lined with mirrors and lights. A man in a dark uniform waited there, the commander. Stared at Alex in silence for a long time before speaking. They said you were dead, the commander finally said. You disappeared. Alex placed the crystal shard on the table between them. I disappeared because of her, he said. And now, she's still here. The commander looked at the shard. What is she? He asked. A weapon? An alien? Alex shook his head. She's more than that. She's everything. And she's watching us. The commander's eyes narrowed. You've been compromised. That thing, it's in your head. You should have stayed gone. Alex leaned forward. No, I chose. I chose humanity over her. But she's still alive, still inside me. And if you try to lock her away again, she won't let you. The commander frowned. You're threatening us? Alex's voice was quiet, but steady. I'm warning you. That night, they locked him in a small room while they decided what to do with him. He sat on the floor, staring at the shard in his hand. It pulsed faintly. Her voice came again, softer than ever. They're going to destroy me. And you, too. Alex closed his eyes. I won't let them, he whispered. You can't stop them. You're only human. Alex opened his eyes. And that's enough. She was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered something he didn't expect. Thank you. Hours later, soldiers came for him. They took him back to the command room, where the commander and his advisors waited. The commander spoke coldly. We've decided. That thing cannot stay here. We'll destroy the shard and quarantine you until we're sure you're no threat. Alex's fingers curled tightly around the shard in his pocket. Her whisper came again, louder this time. Don't let them. The commander stepped closer. Give it to me, he ordered. Now. Alex stared at him for a long time. Then he stood tall. No, he said. The commander's eyes narrowed. You don't have a choice. Alex took a deep breath. Yes, I do. And then, before they could stop him, he raised the shard high above his head and slammed it into the ground. The crystal shattered. Light erupted from it, filling the room with blinding brightness. Everyone fell to the ground, covering their eyes. The walls groaned, the lights flickered, alarms blared, and then, in the center of the room, she appeared. Not towering, not monstrous, just her, the woman. Glowing faintly, her eyes full of stars, her hair floating like smoke. Looked at Alex first. Her voice was quiet but heavy. You chose me again. Alex stood firm. I chose to let you speak for yourself, he said. She turned to the others, the soldiers, the commander, and for the first time, her voice was not a whisper but a roar. Listen, and they did. Because no one could look away. She told them everything, of the ones who built her, of her long sleep, of her hunger and her loneliness, of Alex's choice. And when she was done, she turned back to Alex. Her voice softened. You are still beautiful, for a human. Alex smiled, faintly. And you're still the most dangerous thing in this galaxy, he replied. She tilted her head. Perhaps, but now, I'm also free. She turned and walked toward the window, her body dissolving into faint trails of light. As she disappeared, her voice whispered one last time in his mind. We will see each other again, when the stars go out. And then she was gone. The room was silent. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The commander stared at Alex for a long moment, then nodded faintly. She spared us, he said. Alex shook his head. No, she chose to wait. He looked up at the stars outside, still burning, still bright, and whispered to himself, and so will I. Because he knew she was still watching, waiting, dreaming. And somewhere out there, beyond the stars, she was smiling.